Hello everyone and welcome to episode 6 of Monifactory. I hope everyone's doing well. Let's jump right into this episode. So in between episodes I spent the time and set up this primitive setup. So all it is, it's a steam grinder, which then goes into a forge hammer and a centrifuge. This is for processing, so it's a primitive way to process dusts. Or process ores into the dust. I'm doing this mainly for chromite because this one, it produces a lot of chrome, which is what I'm in need for to be able to progress any further. And I also spent some time in the nether mining ruby. That was before I realized that I could actually go to the end. So I then went and made an end cake, which is actually possible, just using the black steel, which I smelt in the EBF. And I went to go and mine a chromite vein, which you can see why I went to the end to get chromite. It's so much more dense. Yeah, after all of that, yeah, this is the chromite dust which I have stocked up in this electrolyzer. I've just been basically waiting for this to actually process. And it's produced quite a decent amount of chrome actually so far. Yeah, I cannot complain about what this is making. It's iron and chrome plus a little bit of oxygen, which I just void because I have unlimited oxygen. Yeah, I'm actually in need of this chromium dust. That's technically the name of it, isn't it? I'm in need of that so I can make this canthal, which I prepared 3 stacks of canthal dust to send through the EBF. This is required for the next tier of coil for the EBF, which is, I need it for my goals today. The title of the episode is probably going to say what my goal is for today. My goal is autocrafting. So yeah, this is basically what I need to get autocrafting set up. Quite a few things. Since I'm going to actually be waiting for a couple of materials to be smelting, why not set up a couple of blast furnaces in this array of them, which I had prepared from last episode? There you go. So the first blast furnace is going to be making aluminium. If I remember to actually perform maintenance on these. Been a while since I've had to do maintenance. Do maintenance on both of them. So this should be able to start producing me aluminium ingots once I set a circuit of circuit 1. Yes. And I'm also not going to be wall sharing these blast furnaces. From my experience with wall sharing these, because I'm going to be having a lot of them and all of the coils, they are going to want to be the same tier. But as I gradually get up to that tier, I don't want to have to upgrade all of them in an array. Yeah, that's passive aluminium ingots. Just just because this is going to be useful for all of the medium voltage components. And the next one is this monocrystalline silicon ball. Instead of circuit 1, this needs circuit 2. Wow, 450 seconds each. Okay, well, yeah, this being on passive is a good idea. And I'm also going to throw one of these downgrade upgrades. Yeah, that's confusing. In this frame drawer so that this can only store 64 of these boules. Because these boules are not used for anything else except for the wafers. So it's unnecessary me storing, I don't know, like 2,000 silicon boules. They'll eventually be turned into the silicon wafers. And while I'm here, I might as well set up the automation for passive silicon wafers and a couple of the actual specific engraved wafers, I suppose you could call them. I have a couple of machines which I want to place for this. So I have a couple of machines which I need to set up here. It is 4 medium voltage cutters and 3 laser engravers. And I also want to say these are so expensive for medium voltage circuits. Very, very expensive. I am starting to feel the resource cost. I have like 20 medium voltage circuits left. So I'm running out. Then this interface, I'm going to set this to, what does this need to stock? The silicon boules. And I'll set this to only stock 1. It's okay, stock it. Let's actually bump that to 8 then. We'll say 8, stock 8. Then this card I'm going to extract on channel 1. So this is the orange channel. And I'm also going to have this aqueous accumulator extract on the orange channel again. Do round robin. So I just want this to extract from the aqueous accumulator in the down position. That's for all of these advanced cutters. Then this one's going to get a filter for water. Should be getting water. This is just to make sure that if there are any extra fluids I have on this line, these will be filtered so they won't get the wrong type of water or wrong type of fluid. There you go. And then this first one I'm going to set as an item card. I guess I can do an accounting filter for this. I don't know, let's say 4 of these. Let's do 8. And so, oh yeah, that's going to make loads of noise. Don't forget to sound muffle these. There you go, so this is 40 seconds. Okay, and this cutter, it also doesn't output silicon dust as a byproduct. I remember that in previous versions, so I would have to handle the extra silicon dust if that was there. Here I don't know, so let's just set this in the drawer. Make sure it's locked, then I can tell all of these machines to auto output to the bottom. Is 2,000 silicon wafers a bit excessive? I'm going to say yes to that, and I'm going to put a downgrade, an iron downgrade in here, so that it can only stock 64 of these. Next, I need to set up these laser engravers. Now, all of these need to have a specific lens for what they actually start producing. So in this case, I need the ULPICs. ULPIC wafer, so this one needs the blue lens. For the ILC integrated logic circuit, I think. Yes, it is. Integrated logic circuit. That one requires a red lens, so this one's going to be ruby. And the RAM requires a green lens, which is going to be emerald. So before I set a filter for the the wafers in the ME interface. Let's set this up because I want it to be on round robin. Yeah, let's make sure that's enabled. And I'll also set to stock 8 of these inside the laser engravers instead of a full stack. Now I can tell the silicon wafers to be stocked in here. Set that for a stack. The round robin should go and split them evenly. Yeah, look at them. That's always good. It's always good seeing something like this go to plan. And these are going to be set up on passive, so I won't even need to actually autocraft them. They'll just stock the actual wafer in these drawers. Then I'll add them to this storage bus. This is the drawer controller, which controls, it's going to control everything which is in this array. We'll go there. And then the last cutters for these. Need to set this interface to stock the wafers. Let's say 8 for all of these. You know what, I'll also do 8 there. I tried to keep things consistent with items, so if I'm requesting 8 items, I'll be consistent about it within the interface. So then the rest of the cutters just need the item cards for each type of wafer, and it doesn't really matter what order I put these in. I'm going to make sure that they are counting item filters. Oh, that is so good. This is the type of automation which is going to come in very handy in the long run, because all of these components are required for the higher tier circuits, at least the next tier, which I'm going to be making very soon. And looking at the quests, I actually have unlocked the next tier of circuit, so I guess I need to start batch crafting these. I think I'm gonna, yeah. So I also need to make transistors for them. Okay, so right, and that requires, yeah, this requires silicon, which needs the Canthal coils. Okay, so I'm gated behind that then. Using a couple of the ULPICs, I'm able to fix one of the mistakes I made. I can make the MV energy hatches now using them. So that's the reason why I ended up adding these to that wall of passive machines. And with these medium voltage energy hatches, I can now place them over here with one of these new blast furnaces which I've made. Yeah, the mistake which I made was making the Canthal ingots. I put it in the other EBF expecting it to work, but I didn't realize that this has a minimum high voltage tier energy requirement. So you have to use 2 medium voltage energy hatches to get 1 amp of high voltage in the electric blast furnace. But that's, yeah, I could do that because I made the silicon wafers, the silicon stuff. Yeah, this is Canthal. This is required for the next tier of coils. And that's exactly what I'm after, the next tier of coils. And while I'm waiting for Canthal to be processing, I have decided to set up Canthal dust on passive, so I won't need to actually manually batch craft this anymore. So it's very simple, just macerator to iron, then aluminium, chromium, and iron to Canthal dust. Nice and simple. Also, I've left this electrolyzer running for a little while now, and, well, this has produced a lot of chromium and a lot of iron dust, actually. So I can't complain about this stockpile of chromium. Another thing which I can do while I'm waiting is set up the automated Certus quartz production. That method is fairly simple, and to start off with, I need to actually make one of the flawless budding Certus quartz blocks. So this is an in-world transformation from this. So this is damaged budding Certus quartz. Need to throw that with another charged Certus quartz to upgrade it. Okay, that's chipped. That's flawed. And that's flawless. Nice and easy. And to make the fortune books for the annihilation planes, I'm going to use this enchanter from Ender.io. I'm so grateful that this exists in this version, because it makes making enchanted books as easy as placing some materials in here and a book and quill for Fortune 3. Although that is quite expensive for experience. But who cares about experience when you can use the matter from HNN? So I'm going to start off with just placing it in this middle one. I'm not sure if I'm going to actually need the extra ones, because this is supposed to be... Well, I think it's going to be pretty decent with the Fortune 3 on the Annihilation Panes. So I'm just going to do something like this. This will allow me to actually mine any of the Certus Quartz, which this flawless budding Certus Quartz grows. So I also need to place this storage bus, and this is going to be technically a subnet to make sure that it doesn't store anywhere it shouldn't. So this storage bus needs to be on bidirectional, and I will filter only the Certus Quartz crystals in here. If you also don't know this, you can make I suppose it's a multi-part of the interface. So instead of it being a full block, it will actually fit on one of the cables and fit within the cables block. It's neat for doing things like this. Because I need to do... yeah, that's the achievement. Place the storage bus on an interface. For this to be a subnet, I need to have the main net to be able to actually see what's in the subnet. And placing a storage bus on an interface will allow the main net to be able to see all of the contents from the subnet. So this is the one which is going to be set to extract only, and I'll say a high priority. So it will try to extract from the ME system first before it takes out of this subnet. And to connect these to be subnets, all I need to do is quartz fiber here. There we are. Completely passive Certus Quartz. I do love the noise from it's the amethyst breaking where they got that noise from. Now that I have Canthal on passive, I can now make these Canthal coils and upgrade one of these EBFs in order to make silicon. And fingers crossed this works, because I have, or the recipe which I'm using to make the silicon ingots. Yeah, so it's going to be this recipe using silicon dioxide plus carbon. So instead of just using the dust, it uses these two. It will output carbon monoxide and the silicon ingot with a chance to output of ashes. But more importantly, look at the recipe time for this one. It's 12 seconds for one ingot compared to 63 seconds for one ingot. So this one is faster, and I already have silicon dioxide on passive somewhere. So I can just leech off of that. And the carbon, this will be completely closed loop, meaning this takes 2 carbon as the input. If you electrolyze the carbon monoxide, it will give 2 carbon back. So it's completely closed loop. No extra carbon required for this recipe. So all I should need to do is put carbon in here, and hopefully it will be able to run. Oh yeah, I need to enable it in here. And you can, yeah. Yeah, silicon dioxide ingots. I need to make sure that does actually go into the drawer. There you go. Passive silicon. The wall of blast furnaces is starting to grow, isn't it? I've got 4 set up now on passive. This silicon, though, is primarily used for the production of transistors. Yeah, it's used in this recipe. I'm going to batch up a stack of these just for the sake of it, because I can't go wrong with making extra transistors. I have the polyethylene, I have the silicon, and I have the fine tin wire. Right, now I'm feeling like batch crafting loads of stuff for the auto crafting. As, yeah, I need to get some more circuits. Thankfully, I can use the higher tier recipe. So if we just have a quick look at the circuits, so I can actually make these basic integrated circuits. So I'm going to make a stack's worth of the input materials because I should have everything for that. And then I'll also do the same for this. I'll convert all of them into medium voltage because I'm low on medium voltage. And then my goal is to make, I think, 16 of these ones. And then I'll be making them into the pattern. So yeah, I've got a fair amount of crafting to do. I want to go all out though. I want to be able to make the patterns, the crafting CPUs, what else? Pattern interfaces, molecular assemblers, and some machines to go along with this. So it's going to be a lot of crafting, but it's going to be absolutely worth it. Right, I think I'm ready to start setting up autocrafting. So you already saw over in this room, I placed the molecular assembler here. This is just going to be the first one for now. I'm going to be upgrading and making a lot more of these. At the moment, I'm just going for autocrafting these pattern providers because I'm going to be basically requesting a lot of these. And they're not too painful to craft, but that is becoming a bit of a chore, so hence the reason why I'm setting up autocrafting. And I also settled with 2 crafting storages for now. So I didn't realize, but one of the, I think it's the crafting monitors. Yeah, it's these. The recipe for this. So this bit has unchanged, but making the level emitter actually requires stainless steel. So I need to set up stainless steel at some point, and that's also going to be the gateway material to high voltage machines. So I got to keep that in mind. And these crafting co-processors, I didn't realize these are 4x crafting co-processing units. So I would assume that this counts, or it will work similar to 4 co-processing units, but in one block, which is really cool. They're also not too difficult to make. It's just a crafting co-processing unit plus the storage component for that tier. So the 4x one requires the 4K storage component. Right, well, let's start making some patterns. So I have a pattern access terminal here. This should show up once the network has booted up. Give it time. Yes, there we go. So these are currently the existing pattern providers which I've placed down. So one of them is going to be a bending machine. Another one is wire mill. Then the PC is for the circuit. So circuit 2, circuit 1, and then the molecular assembler. So that's good. And to actually make these patterns, I will place this pattern encoding terminal. There you go. So that's got access to all of my items. And for this to work, I needed to make the patterns, and this is where these high voltage circuits come in. Because for the recipe for the blank patterns, they require high voltage circuits. Thankfully, I get 8 of these, so I've made enough for 2 stacks to start off with. Wow, that was a lot of quests, wasn't it? That was 3 quests being gated behind these. Okay, long story short, I did not like how that last bit of the episode was basically being, so I'm just here to change it. So the stuff with the autocrafting, there's a lot of stuff to do with the autocrafting, and there's going to be so many things I'm going to be doing with the autocrafting. I can't keep track of them all in recording because there's just so much. So the main gist of it is I will be adding all of these patterns probably in the background, so you won't actually notice, and I'll be using this for autocrafting, which is going to make my life a lot easier. But to actually set up patterns, for instance, for instance, setting up one of these circuit assembler patterns, you can either click on the recipe in here, but you could also hold shift and click over the item in EMI. That will also add the pattern, and it will also set it to crafting patterns, processing patterns, smithing table patterns, or stone cutting, if them patterns are actually one of these 4. And it also shows above the items in this crafting grid a little plus symbol. That plus symbol basically means that that item can be auto-crafted. There's already an existing pattern which is for it. So for this one, the medium voltage emitter is missing. So the way that I also encode things, I queue them up like this. And then let's get a pattern for the MV emitter. Let's also put the circuit assembler pattern back, and I need to swap these to use the universal circuits. I think I cut this bit also out, and basically the universal circuits have the same tags as regular circuits, but instead of having to upgrade patterns with all of the other low voltage circuits in them, for instance, I will set all of them to use the universal circuit, and then I only need to upgrade this pattern, which makes, honestly, I wish this was in other versions of GregTech. It's such a nice feature in this one. So I can just set it to use the high voltage universal circuits here, and then another pattern for the high voltage universal circuit, and then they just go in here. So for the universal circuits atomic reconstructor, I already have names for loads of these. Molecular assembler for the circuit assembler and the MV emitter. Now I'm sure that I won't have the high voltage circuits, but I do have everything else to actually be able to autocraft. So that's the main gist of autocrafting. Yeah, hopefully you can understand that. There's a lot of stuff to do with autocrafting, which is why I ended up I cut that bit of the video out, because it just wasn't really entertaining watching me encode, I don't know, like however many patterns I already have. So yeah, it's not really that entertaining. I may do like time lapses, however, or if I need to encode like a load of patterns all at once, but I probably won't speak in them because hopefully you will get the gist of it. And on that note, I'm going to wrap up the episode here, as, yep, the video length has gone a little bit over 20 minutes again. Not too far though. But yeah, it's been good. I'm looking so forward to autocrafting, and there is also a bit of secret building going on in the background, which I have not showed yet. You might have noticed it on Journey Map if you had a look at it, or if that was actually shown in the video. I'm not sure if it was. Yeah, as always, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and hope to see you all again in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.